Hi, my name is Bianca. This is my story and now I'm gonna share it with you. But before hearing it, please like and subscribe to our Sun Slime channel for more stories. Okay, let's start it. I'm the oldest of 3 girls and certainly the most beloved by my mother. I don't believe any mother has ever loved a daughter as much as my mother loves me. Because I was intelligent, my mother favored me above my sisters. And well, they were a little naive and kinda dumb. Mom started shouting at them at the parent-teacher meeting when I was in 3rd grade since they'd failed every subject. Mom shouted why they were such dummies and lamented that what she had done wrong was that God was punishing her by giving daughters like them. My teachers, on the other hand, couldn't stop applauding me when it was my turn. My mom grinned and said, "Yes, thank God every day for giving me a daughter like Bianca. Her sisters are such an embarrassment." But Clara abruptly grabbed a chair and hurled it at me, and it was only an inch from hitting me. Mom put her on probation and told her she couldn't eat that night until she wrote 1,000 times, "Please forgive me, dear sister." And "I'll get you next time, witch," was the paper as Clara handed it to me. One day, Mom requested me to prepare my excellent lemonade for some visitors who were coming over. When I offered it to them, they all took a sip and coughed hysterically. One man complained that that was disgusting and it tasted like soap. Wait, what? Oh my God, that Clara seemed done something to it. After that happened, Clara happily ran over and told Mom that, "See, Mom, I keep telling you, Bianca hates you. I don't know why you love her. I can do everything better." I thought that my mother would scold and criticize me, but no, it was beyond my expectations. Mom asked Clara to shut up and said, "Bianca just made a mistake. I mean, she's perfect. Even perfect people can make mistakes sometimes." Then she required Clara to go be useful for once and go get Mom and her guests some coffee. Then she gently turned to me again and said that now I can go back to my room and study. Clara was enraged. She spat in my face as the others were looking away. I attempted to push her away, but she bolted and ran off. What the hell is a witch? Bertha, on the other hand, was nothing like her. She and I had a really close relationship, and she was constantly looking after me when I was studying. I was really enamored with her. I'd been saving up my pocket money for months in order to purchase my mother a nice sweater for Christmas when I was in 8th grade. And she was ecstatic. The next morning, though, I saw Clara warming her hands in front of the fire, and Mom's sweater was engulfed in flames. I panicked, ran over to her as fast as I could and asked what the hell she was doing. But you know what? Clara was really an outrageous and selfish person. She smirked and smiled smugly that she was cold and we were out of wood and she liked watching things burn. She hates me and I hate my mom. Not stopping there, she also threatened me that maybe one day she would set my hair on fire while I was both sleeping. I simply became enraged and attacked her. Mom and Bertha came racing in as we were wrestling on the floor. When Mom discovered out, she completely lost her mind. My mom remarked that Clara was her greatest nightmare, that Clara lacked charm, intelligence, and any other redeeming qualities. That she was envious of me as well, and that she'd be a failure for the rest of her life. With that, Mom swore that she was going to send Clara away to my aunt. I was furious at Clara, but I didn't want it to happen. So I decided to tell Mom that, "No, Mom, please don't. We're a family and we have to stay together. I forgive her, okay?" But on the contrary, Clara was even more annoyed. She put her hand in my face and said, "I don't remember asking you for forgiveness, witch." Bertha rushed out, pushing past me. Mom cried for hours because of her sweater. Clara was wary of doing anything too invisible after her mother threatened to take her away. But I could feel her rage growing. I had a sneaking suspicion she was planning something against the rest of us. When I was in the 11th grade, we had a cousin's wedding to attend and I was her maid of honor. As soon as we entered the hall, our relatives surrounded us. Suddenly my aunt came over, smiled and said, "Oh, Bianca, darling, I want you to meet my daughter. I'm always saying I want her to be just like you." Another aunt also interjected and added, "We hear all about your wonderful achievements from your mother. Your daughter is a little Einstein, isn't she?" Mom and Bertha beamed at me proudly, but Clara's lips curled into an evil smile. As she walked past me, she accidentally stepped on my foot. Clara's lips twisted into a demon grin as my mom and Bertha happily smiled at me. She purposefully stepped on my foot as she moved by me. Although she whispered, I clearly heard her say that everyone would see who the real genius is in one day. And she called me as her butt, little Einstein. What a lunatic she was! The bride gave me the wedding rings to keep secure until the ceremony began. Bertha was nowhere to be found at that moment. I searched the entire building for her. I entered the door to discover Bertha on the floor after hearing a faint sound from a storage room. She was also weeping. When she saw me, she seemed to burst in happily. "Oh, Bianca, thank God you're here. I asked someone where the bathroom was, and they sent me here. Then I tripped over something and sprained my ankle really badly. I can't walk." As I helped her up, we suddenly heard the door slam shut behind us and the lock clicked. No matter how hard I pulled, it just wouldn't open. We continued to beat on the door and yell, but no one heard us. After a few hours, the door broke open, and we saw 2 cops standing there with all of my family behind them. My cousin lunged forward and began yanking my hair. Oh my God, what's the hell going on? Why was she doing this to me? Turns out the wedding ring was missing and the wedding was ruined. And my cousin assumed I'd taken the rings and fled like a robber. The wedding was ruined because everyone was looking for me. All of our family were staring at me as if I were a criminal. I didn't have any method of proving I was innocent. But I had a feeling Clara was up to something. Bertha being sent to the storage, and we're being locked up. Mom came to me one morning a few weeks later and informed me about a national-level scientific competition with a $100,000 first prize. She asked me to participate, and I quickly agreed by signing up immediately. I studied hard for weeks more than winning the prize. I just cared about making Mom's wishes come true. Mom came coming up to me a few weeks later to tell me I'd won the competition. "You're jumping for pleasure, exactly like Bianca is going to give you all the money, poor foolish mother," Clara remarked as we hugged happily. How dare Clara talk to Mom like that? She was so insolent. At that moment, I saw my mother was enraged. Mom required Clara to shut up and say that it was all for my career and asked Clara not to say as if my mom want money. Then she reminded Clara that was going to become a great scientist and in the future maybe I would hire her as a cleaner for my science lab. Oh, Mom. After her anger at Clara was finished, she turned around and spoke softly to me. Mom said that the prize money would be sent in a couple of months, so would have to wait for a little. Well, I'd already known that I accomplished what I'd set out to do when seeing my mother so pleased. I had submitted an application for NASA's Junior Space Program. I was ecstatic when I got chosen for a 3-month program. Of course, I anticipated my mother to be overjoyed. When she returned home, however, she had some shocking news to deliver. Oh man, Mom had been fired from her job. With that, Mom apologized for ruining my amazing news. She said that should be a really happy day and she was so proud of you. And then she was concerned that how would she manage without a job? How would she send me to the program? So Mom said I told her that that program was a fully paid scholarship, so she didn't have to worry about me at all. I then left all of my prize money behind so she could pay for her day-to-day living expenses. She looked at me touched and said, "Oh, darling, I couldn't possibly do that. I'll start looking for a job right away, but thank you for being the most amazing daughter in the world." Clara wasn't even there to see me go on the day I was leaving. I said my tearful goodbyes to Mom and Bertha before heading to the airport. I barely had a few months' worth of funds, so I decided to limit myself to 1 meal each day and not spend any money on anything else. I couldn't bring myself to ask Mom for additional money. And wow, in less than 3 months, I finished my course a few days early than I had anticipated. I purchased gifts for my family and decided to return home without informing them that I would be there sooner. But a terrible truth awaits me ahead. The day I got home, I didn't see anyone at home. Thinking they were going somewhere, I decided to go to my room first and wait for them to return. However, I was shocked when I heard them talking in my room, so I decided to stay out and see what they were talking about. I'm overjoyed! The reward money arrived ahead of Bianca. Oh, Mom, you're great. All these years, how you've made that genius an idiot, Claire said complacently. Then Mom answered that, "Yes, darling, I'm the one who thinks like Einstein, but you're also rather excellent." Have you guys forgotten about me? Bertha said, annoyed when she saw her mother and Clara ignoring her merits. Noticing that Bertha seemed to be sulking, Mom gently flattered her. Mom remarked that, "Darling, of course not. You're the absolute best. Your performance as an actor is Oscar-worthy. The way you fooled her into thinking you were her darling little sister, I'm really proud of you." Bertha smiled with satisfaction as her merits were recognized. She smugly said, "She is completely unaware of how much I despise her. How moron she is." Then I heard Mom's voice mixed with resentment. She added that, "Yes, she's an idiot, as was her mom and your father before her. He dumped his affairs child on my lap, assuming I'd raise her like a princess for free." Oh my God. So I had no idea that I wasn't my mom's real girl, and they didn't consider me family at all. Was this all they do when I did it all for them, huh? They were ungrateful for what they have. Then Clara reminded them that I would be home in the next few days, but my mother didn't seem worried because she thought then after I returned home for a few days, I would continue to go to a certain university with a scholarship. And of course, I will be busy and work like a donkey, and their lives just sit back and enjoy. This truth shocked me greatly. I made the decision to leave that house right away, but after a few days, I realized that I needed to do something. I couldn't keep allowing them to live like way. With all my heart, I must revenge what I did for them. When the time was full 3 months since the day I left, I went home. When I got home, Mom and Bertha came running down the stairs and flung their arms around me. Bertha said she's missed me so much. Next was the mom's turn. She told me, "Oh, darling, I can hardly believe my eyes. You have no idea how I've lived without you these past months." And of course, now I know exactly what to do. I pretended I didn't know anything about their story and acted as usual. I coldly told my mother that I was so restless to see her too. I presented them with their gifts, which they both appreciated. Clara simply dumped hers in the trash and walked away furiously without saying anything. Then I announced to my mom that I was just gonna go put my things in my room. But Mom was worried and advised me just relax for a bit. That implied that she was not wanting me to go up to her room. And of course, I was recalcitrant, said I was back and they just needed to wait a second. When I walked into my room, I was astounded to discover money strewn there. The others had followed me upstairs and informed me that my prize money had just arrived. I pretended to be surprised and amused. I was going to deposit this money in my bank right now. When she knew I would do that, she gave a reluctant smile and suggested to me keeping it safe at home. Of course, I flatly refused. I said that we really need the money, so I just couldn't take any risks. Mom treated us all to a fantastic meal when I returned home. I was overjoyed to be reunited with my family. 2 weeks later, I overheard Mom shouting frantically at someone. I dashed downstairs and then found some cops standing in porch. Mom shouted at them whether they were out of mind, and she pointed our house and clarified that that was her house. That was her own property. But they gave Mom a notice. This notice clearly states that Mom and her daughters Bertha and Clara was living here illegally and the rightful owner was Miss Bianca. Hearing my name, I rushed out and realized it was me. Well, now it was time for me to flip my card game. I turned and told my mother that, "Yeah, Mom, it's true, but she already knew that, right?" I spoke with Dad's lawyer and reviewed his will. It turns out that this residence is registered in my name. As a result, I recommend that you follow the advice of the friendly cops and simply go. Mom got confused and said how you could talk to her like that. She justified that she was going to tell me about the house one day. Oh wow, tell me? So what date exactly? And then she asked why he turned against her. Oh, I against her? The one who should ask this question is me, not her. With that, I revealed to her that I witnessed everything that happened behind my back. At that time, my mother's face turned white as a sheet, and she began to be embarrassed and told me to listen to her explanation. And of course, I didn't give her that chance. I firmly said, "Just stop this acting now. It's all over. I guess Dad knew you wouldn't take care of me too, Mom. So he decided to do it himself by leaving me this house. I really loved you and would have done anything to make you happy. You played me for a fool. But you made a mistake. I'm good-hearted, but not a fool." They all begged me for forgiveness and dropped down on their knees, but I just had the cops kick them out. Soon after, I sold the house and relocated to a location where they would never find me again. I've left everything and everyone in my past behind me. I'm finally living my best life.